Hello everyone, it's Brian. I hope you had a good weekend. Happy Monday. Today I'm going to do a ranking, my first ranking, and this will be for the year 1989. And you might be wondering, why would I start with 1989? And it's simply because I started to make lists of best records per year, and I finished 1989 first. So when I said finished, I completed the list, but it wasn't really set in stone. And since I did the list, I have changed it many times. In fact, a few minutes before I clicked the record button here, I changed the order of a couple albums, and I took one off and put a different one on. So it's changeable. And if I were to do this again a year from now, it might be different. But this is my stab at my top 15 records from 1989. Now, I was going to do only 10 and have a few honorable mentions. And I thought, well, there's so many. Then I thought, well, I'll do 20 because I had a list of 25. And so I finally decided, well, let's just make it 15, which is not to say that every year is going to be 15. I might do a different year and make only 10. And, whatever year comes next may not be 1989. Or it might not be 1990. I might go back to the 60s. Who knows? But this is my effort at top 15 from 1989, the year the Berlin Wall came down. And well, let's just get started. I won't talk too much about it. I won't have time to. I'm probably not going to show you every record and every record label or inner sleeve. I'll just and I won't have a lot to say about every record. It'll just be just a few words. So number 15 in my top of 1989 is Camper Van Beethoven's Key Lime Pie. And this is a sort of maybe one that's not obvious, but I really like this record. It has my mantra on here, the song that sort of sums me up when I win the lottery, which has never happened and probably never will. Partly because I don't really buy lottery tickets. Pictures of Matchstick Men, which I think is a fantastic song, a cover version, but really, really excellent. So this one is great. They're an amusing band, always have something fun to say, and so I really like them. Number 14 is, for me, Kate Bush, The Sensual World. Now, some people would put this as her best record. I don't see it as her best record. I would say, for me, this is third or possibly fourth in my ranking of Kate Bush records. But this is good. I mean, it has two of her probably most well-known songs, The Sensual World and This Woman's Work. I think this is great. Not her best one, as I say, but it comes in at number 14 for 1989. At number 13 is a soundtrack, and one that I didn't mention in that Miss 80s Music and Movies thread. But in 1989, I choose this as number 13. This is Peter Gabriel's Passion, Music for the Last Temptation of Christ. This is the original Canadian pressing on 2 records. This has been reissued, I believe. But this is a really, really great record. If you like cinematic, moody music with a bit of a world influence, part ambient, part... I don't even know how to describe it, but it is truly a great record. Maybe somewhat overlooked in his catalog if people think of him as, those pop songs. But this is truly an incredibly good record, and I recommend it to anybody. I think it's fantastic. Number 12 is from a guitarist that I simply cannot understand why he's not more famous. I think this guy should be a superstar, and I'm stunned that he's not, because he has played with bands like Talking Heads. He toured with Bowie. Probably most famously, he's known as as one of the guitarists in the 80s version, well, I should say 80s and longer version of King Crimson. That's Adrian Belew. This is Mr. Music Head. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He plays pretty much any instrument he can play. And I guess it's kind of interesting that the big hit on here, if you can call it a hit, it had MTV Airplay as Oh Daddy, a song that he sang with his daughter, who was a little girl at the time. And it's really about, like, why aren't you a big star? When are you going to make it big? And I think that sort of summarizes, sadly, Adrian Belew, because he should be a superstar. So on this record is also 1967. So much on here, like House of Cards, Bad Days is a great song. And this, I mean, really, he does a lot of artwork too. I'm not sure if he did the artwork for this cover, but on later records he certainly did all the artwork. So Yes, fantastic. Should be more famous. Kind of sad that he's not. I guess I have a meeting right now. No, I'm just kidding. For number 11 is one of two Canadian artists. This is the Tragically Hip, and this is their second record called Up to Here. This is a band that's really, really well known in Canada. They're from Kingston, Ontario, and I think they had some fame outside of Canada. I think for sure they're known more internationally, but they were considered to be, I think, the most Canadian band. They were revered here. Gord Downie, when he died a few years back, it was a national day of mourning almost, because he was just so well known and loved in Canada. This album really almost plays, because it had so much airplay. It plays like a greatest hits record. I mean, even side one is like "Blow It High Do," "I'll Believe in You," "New Orleans is Sinking," 38 years old. She didn't know. I mean, it's like 5 songs that you hear on the radio anytime. This is really good. I don't know how to describe it. I guess it's just rock. It's not alternative or anyway. It's just a rock band, and I think they're very good. The lyrics are very Canadian. Gord Downie was, I guess, a student of Canadian history, so there's always lots of references to Canadian things. This is excellent. That was number 11. Now we hit the top 10, and my second Canadian artist in the top 10 is Neil Young, and this is Freedom. So this, I guess you would say, this sort of brought him out of the 80s. I mean, he struggled a bit in the 80s, if you ask me. He had, Landing on Water, Old Ways, which was fine. Everybody's Rocking with the Shocking Pinks, which not everyone loved. Trying to think of what else he did in the 80s. Life, which is okay. This Note's for You. Trans is another one for me. So the 80s, I think, were a difficult time for Neil Young, but I think he brought it back together. I think this is one of his best records, certainly the best from the 80s for me. The 2 versions of Rockin' in the Free Word are great. Crime in the City is great. Don't Cry. The only one I don't really love is Wrecking Ball, but El Dorado on Broadway. These are great songs. Linda Ronstadt appears on a couple of tracks here, so I think this is actually really good. And she's clearly the best of the 80s for Neil Young, for sure. Number 9 is a record that maybe took some people by surprise, because this is a more mellow record than you'd expect from Bob Mould. I mean, after Husker Du, people might have assumed that he would continue that sound, but he didn't. This album is a bit quieter. Wishing Well, See a Little Light, Poison Years. These are, this is fantastic. If I were to choose my favorite Bob Mould record, this would be probably number 1 or number 2. It's called, did I say it's called Workbook? Yeah, really good. It's a bit of a surprise after Husker Du, but really an incredibly good record. And the bizarre thing is, I think I paid $3 for this, because I don't think the person selling it knew what it was. This is the original pressing. It's probably worth more than $3 today. So up to number 8. So my number 8 record from 1989 is from This is a record called Mind Bomb. So on this record, Matt Johnson is joined with Johnny Marr from the Smiths, and Johnny Marr toured with Matt Johnson and that year. I saw that tour, so it's good to see. I'd never seen the Smiths, so it was interesting to see Johnny Marr up on stage. So Good Morning Beautiful starts this record off, a really epic 7.5-minute track. Armageddon Days are here. Kingdom of Rain is a duet with Sinead O'Connor, which is okay, a little mellow, but it's fine. The Beaten Generation, that's the political Johnny Marr again, or political Matt Johnson again. Gravitate to Me, which is a song I really love. I think that's a great long track. But yeah, I think this is, after this I became a little less interested in but this is certainly a high point in the catalog. Number 7 is Oranges and Lemons from XTC, a double record, which is just filled with great songs. I can't read them all up, but Garden of Earthly Delights, Mayor of Simpleton, King for a Day, Here Comes President Kill. I mean, Poor Skeleton Steps Out, Scarecrow People, wow. Chalk Hills and Children. This is a fantastic record. You know, it may be a little different from skylarking. I love skylarking, and this is a little different, but I think this is fantastic. I really love this record. Love the psychedelic album cover. And again, I think this has been reissued as well. This is the original Canadian pressing from 1989, so this is great. Of course, I'm a big XTC fan, so I pretty much like everything that they've done. Number 6, I've chosen Pretty Hate Machine from 9 Inch Nails. It's hard to argue against this record. This had a lot of energy. I think it surprised a lot of people when this came out. You know, we're used to sort of the 80s being maybe a little synthy or whatever, but this really drives. Had like a whole Terrible Lie down in it. I mean, sin. This is great. So this is my introduction to well, everyone's introduction to 9 Inch Nails, I guess, and I really like this record. So top 5, and I have to say it was really difficult to, how do you choose top 5? But for number 5, I chose Disintegration from The Cure. Again, this is a Canadian pressing from then. So yeah, I mean, this is filled with amazing tracks. Plain Song, Pictures of You, Love Song, Lullaby, Fascination Street. It's incredible. I really think this is probably the best Cure record in my opinion. Yeah, I think by quite a margin. I think it's really good. Yeah, so I would say, yeah, best Cure record. I did see the Cure in concert, but not on that tour, on a different tour. Number 4 is another record that has a hard, heavy driving sound, and that is Ministry. The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste. I really was impressed when I heard this record. It just has so much energy. Thieves, Burning Inside, which I would pick. Burning Inside would fit on, you know, if I'm making a top 10 list of songs from 1989, Burning Inside would definitely be on it. Wow, it's really great. And this is a far cry from the Ministry, the early Ministry, like With Sympathy and Twitch, although I love Twitch, and you know, The Land of Rape and Honey being next. But this one is, wow, this is, there's a lot of energy. Not for everyday listening. You wouldn't want to listen to it before you go to bed maybe, but this is a great record. Top 3. So number 3 on my list for 1989 is from a favorite artist of mine, and this was his best record in years, and that's Lou Reed's New York. Every song on here is just incredible. Again, this has been reissued too. There's a deluxe edition, and there's a 2 LP clear vinyl version. This is the original Canadian pressing from 1989, which is a little challenging because there's over 50 minutes of music on here, so I'm not sure how well the pressing works. But this, Romeo Had Juliet, Dirty Boulevard, I think is a song that had a lot of airplay. You know, man, this is I can't say enough good things about this record, because I played this record to death when I got it. I just played it over and over again because I thought it was the best thing he'd done, in a very, very long time. So Lou Reed. Number 3. The top 2 I switched back and forth a few times. So for a while, my number 2 record was number 1, and number 1 was number 2. But I thought about it a little more, and I realized that this is the order it probably deserves to be in. Number 2 for me is, I think, I don't know. I just love this record so much. It's hard to describe how much I like it. And that's Deep from Peter Murphy. This is clearly his best record. This is just filled wall to wall with amazing songs. This is probably one case where the CD might have a slight advantage in that on the CD there's a bonus track, which is a reprise of the last track, Roll Call, which is really cool. But I mean, the song here, there's just so much. It's just so much on here. Cuts You Up is the track that probably got most attention, but there's some really interesting mellower tracks, like Marlene Dietrich's favorite poem, A Strange Kind of Love, is incredible. Then you have the line Between the Devil's Teeth, Strange Kind of Love, sorry. Yeah, amazing. This is incredible. In fact, it's so good I have 2 copies of this. Now, this is a weird thing in trying to value this record, because I have seen this in record stores in Toronto from anywhere from $20 to $100, and I think people struggle with knowing what this record is worth. And I have 2 copies because I was in a record store once, and there was a copy sitting in a bin in perfect shape for $6, and I already had a copy, so I bought it because I think the week before I had seen it in a bin for $80. So I thought, well, that's ridiculous. So I have 2 copies, and they're both in great shape. And this is one of my favorite records of all time. Like if a list of favorite records of all time, this would be in the top 10 without any question. I think it's that good. And lastly, I think some people might already know what this is. For me, I think arguably the best record from 1989, and that is Doolittle by the Pixies. Again, this is an original Canadian pressing, and it has the booklet inside. So this is just filled with incredible songs. Like if you've never heard this, you're really missing out. It's just from start to finish incredible. Debaser, Tame, Wave of Mutilation, I Bleed, Here Comes Your Man, Monkey Gone to Heaven, Dead. What else is on here? Mr. Greaves, Crackety Jones, La La Love You, Gouge Away, fantastic. Silver, Hey, There Goes My Gun. This is without question the best record of 1989. My favorite record of 1989 as well. They don't always match, like what's my favorite, what's the best, but I think in this case, this is the Pixies' best work, their masterpiece, for sure the best. I'd be interested to know what I missed if you could let me know in the comments, because as I say, there's at least 10 more I could have added on this list, but didn't quite make it into the top 15, so let me know what yours are, and thanks once again for watching.